Conventional wisdom is, cities are where you go to find cultural events and incredible economic opportunity, and suburbs are where you go when you want to do whatever it is people do in suburbs. So today we're going to talk about why this kind of dichotomy might not be the best way to organize our society, and we'll use an interesting data source to identify US suburbs that actually flip the script. So I've got the 10 US suburbs with the most reverse commuting, and it's kind of a fun list. It's super interesting with a lot to think about, including honorable mentions, and it's all coming up next. This is CityNerd, weekly content on cities and transportation. Viewer-suggested topics always welcome, but only when they're better than my own ideas, which simply isn't the case this week. So today's topic comes out of just trying to better understand the travel dynamics of our metro areas and why the cliches we might have internalized about what a suburb is or isn't might not be all that useful. For example, your mental model of a city might be of a dynamic central business district with sleepy suburbs and lots of inbound travel in the morning and lots of outbound travel in the late afternoon and evening. A lot of cities actually do work this way, and I would just submit to you that this is not good. Unbalanced travel means inefficient use of valuable infrastructure. For example, highways that are jammed over capacity in one direction and virtually empty in the other, or transit vehicles that are at crush load in one direction and basically deadheading in the other. These things are not good for the user experience, they're not healthy for your transit agency's bottom line, and they really aren't a plus for your region's economics or livability. So what I want to talk about today is city-suburb pairs that have the opposite dynamic, where there's more commuting to jobs in the suburbs from the central city than there is in the opposite direction. And I really wanted to dig into each of these pairs and figure out what makes them different. Methodology: I used the On the Map tool from the US Census, which allows you to analyze and visualize the origin-destination statistics from the longitudinal employer household data. Honestly, pretty fun to explore, and I've got links down in the description. I used the tool to go searching for city-suburb pairs that generate at least 10,000 outbound primary job commute trips that I could then compare to the number of inbound trips. And I did this by census designated place. Keep in mind, census designated place includes all incorporated cities, but includes other administrative types as well. This will come up as we go through, and I promise it'll make sense. One caveat: keep in mind, this is talking about work-related trips only, and that's just one piece of the overall travel picture. There are a lot more trip types beyond that, and a lot more reasons why people travel between suburbs and central cities, but none of those things tend to stress the transportation system as much as commute flows do, especially unbalanced ones. So after all the analysis, I found exactly 10 city-suburb pairs where the number of commute trips to the suburb was at least 10,000 more than the number of trips in the other direction. So this will definitely be a top 10 list with some honorable mentions, so let's get into it. Number 10, Los Angeles to El Segundo, which is a suburb of about 17,000 on the coast just south of LAX. The top 4 employers are all aerospace companies: Boeing, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and the Aerospace Corporation, which is kind of a suspicious name for an aerospace corporation, if you ask me. Also, the actual headquarters of Mattel are here, not in downtown LA like they showed in the Barbie movie. Pretty visually striking from an aerial, but unfortunately, not quite as visually striking as Chevron, which operates a massive refinery here. For each of these, I want to touch on transit connections just to see how well each city-suburb pair is set up to handle the commuter flows. For El Segundo, you do have LA Metro's C line, which basically runs every 10 minutes from 5 a.m. to like 8 p.m. on weekdays, with 3 stops in El Segundo. I can't vouch for the walkability once you get off the train, unfortunately. Just try to remember you're in Southern California. Number 9, New York City to Manhasset, close in Nassau County. Population of only about 8,000, so you're not going to get a lot of people commuting out of Manhasset to go anywhere, but over 14,000 commute into Manhasset from New York City every day. So what is going on here? Well, there's a big hospital complex, so I'm sure that accounts for some of it, but the town is also home to the Americana Manhasset, Long Island North Shore's quote-unquote Miracle Mile, really the premier destination for quality retail and dining in Nassau County. I don't know, I just feel like we're being a bit careless when we throw around the word miracle. I mean, architecturally, it kind of looks like your average outlet mall, except they somehow convinced high-end retailers to sign leases on space that look like they should have a DSW shoes or a Ross Dress for Less in it. Yeah, I know, a lot of rich people live out this way, and it's critically important that they be able to buy status-signifying merchandise. Anyway, transit? Yeah, there's the Long Island Railroad Port Washington branch, which is generally going to run every half hour, alternating from Penn Station and Grand Central, and that will get you into Manhasset Station. Not super walkable to the Prada store, but you could make it work. Okay, number 8 is an interesting one. Nashville, Tennessee to Berry Hill. Very small suburb in terms of population, about 2,000, but almost 15,000 people travel here from Nashville for work every day. Hard to say that there's any one particular industry that's driving things here. It does include the headquarters of Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools. There's Camp Bow Wow, Greater Nashville's premier doggy daycare, and it's actually home to Music Hill, which is a cluster of small recording studios. Like, if you search studio in this little neighborhood, the results are kind of eye-popping. Anyway, it's Nashville, so the transit situation is gonna be dire. Your best bet is probably Route 8, which runs every 30 minutes at peak times. Number 7, LA to Beverly Hills. This is like the New York to Manhasset dynamic, except on steroids. Population around 33,000, and the list of the city's top employers includes 4 luxury hotel resorts: the Four Seasons Beverly Wilshire, the Beverly Hilton, the Beverly Hills Hotel, and the Peninsula Beverly Hills. 2 large luxury retailers are in the list of the city's top employers too, but it's really the accumulation of smaller retail and dining establishments that make Beverly Hills such an employment draw. And about 22,000 Los Angelinos travel to work there every day. Not really that shocking. I mean, what do you think? People who live in Beverly Hills are filling the housekeeping positions at the Four Seasons. For transit, heavy rail is on the way, with the Wilshire Rodeo Station on the D line extension slated to open in 2026. Fingers crossed. 6, LA to Culver City, population 40,000 or so. The big industry here is visual entertainment, and the city's largest employer is Sony Pictures Studios. I always find the satellite imagery of these motion picture studios fascinating. They're like gated off, secret, hidden worlds that produce some of our country's best known exports. Formerly MGM Studios, very cool and historic. And Culver City is pretty well connected by transit, with a station on LA Metro's Expo line, or Line E, which runs every 10 minutes most of the day, in pretty good proximity to the city's center of employment gravity. Number 5, let's finish off a SoCal trifecta. It's LA to Santa Monica, population close to 100,000, but only about 15,000 people travel into LA for their primary jobs, while more than twice that number travel from LA to Santa Monica for work. The employment mix is interesting. There's definitely tourism and a beach-oriented economy, but you've got some entertainment industry representation with employers like Universal Music Group and Activision. And you've got weird stuff like the headquarters of the national defense think tank at the Rand Corporation. And man, that's got to be an expensive piece of real estate. Really curious. I wonder if there's good money in the defense industry. Anyway, if you're a Rand policy analyst who lives in LA and enjoys taking transit, you're in luck. The last stop on the Expo line is just a couple blocks away. Number 4, the Phoenix to Scottsdale pipeline. Not a small suburb by any stretch of the imagination, Scottsdale clocks in around 240,000 inhabitants, only 37,000 of whom travel to Phoenix for their primary job, while nearly twice that number come the other way. Tourism accounts for almost 40% of the city's workforce, and Scottsdale is home to probably the highest number of luxury destination resorts per capita of any city in the US. We aren't really talking about high-density employment centers here, so it's hard to say where you would build a high-capacity transit alignment if you want to accommodate the commute flows, which is probably why Valley Metro Light Rail doesn't go to Scottsdale, and there don't appear to be any plans to make that connection in the future. Okay, in a minute, I'm gonna get to the top three, including a number one that is number one by a mile. I mean, it's a complete blowout. And I've got some interesting honorable mentions that include industries we haven't talked about yet, and the honorables will take us to different corners of the country as well. Also, usual reminder of all the different ways you can connect on the apps, and direct support on Patreon is much appreciated as well. Okay, let's do some honorables. All of these city-suburb pairs had at least 7,500 excess commute trips going outbound. Milwaukee to Wauwatosa, home of the Milwaukee Regional Medical Center, which I suspect is probably the culprit here. And the medical center is essentially the western terminus of Connect 1, the region's first BRT line, which runs on Wisconsin Avenue from downtown Milwaukee every 10 minutes most of the day on weekdays and every 15 most other times. Actually, not bad on the transit planning, Milwaukee. Denver to Greenwood Village, home of the Denver Tech Center with service on RTD's E-Line connecting to downtown Denver every 15 minutes and the R-Line to Aurora every 30. Dallas to Addison, a suburb that's about as far as you can get from the DART light rail system and still be a close-in suburb of Dallas. I don't know anything about Addison, Texas, so I'll just read from the world's foremost source of unquestionably factual information. Though Addison has just over 16,000 residents, daytime population is estimated at over 120,000. Wow. With nearly 200 restaurants, the town touts itself as having more restaurants per capita than any other city in the US. I was skeptical, but sure enough, if you go to the city's website, you're informed that Addison, Texas is, in fact, the restaurant capital of the United States. Seems legit. And Seattle to Redmond, home to lots of tech jobs held by people who apparently choose to live in Seattle instead of Redmond. Go figure. Eastlink initial operating segment due to open in 2024, but only between South Bellevue and Redmond Technology. So if you're one of the 16,000 or so Seattle residents who need to cross Lake Washington to get to Redmond, or one of the 28,000 Seattle residents who work in Bellevue for that matter, you're out of luck for, I don't know, another decade? The Lake Washington crossing is supposed to open in 2025. Just keep your fingers crossed. Okay, back to the list. Number 3 is Phoenix to Tempe, plus 35,000 workers on the reverse commute differential. Arizona State University is the biggest employer, and a lot of that is going to be right on the Valley Metro light rail line, which runs every 15 minutes. There's a lot of other stuff going on here too, though. State Farm has a huge presence, and there's just a ton of industrial and office park in the western part of the city, over towards Sky Harbor International. Number 2 feels like it should be number 1 just on vibes alone. Las Vegas to Paradise, Nevada. If you don't know, most of what you think of as Las Vegas is actually not within the city of Las Vegas. Nearly all the strip resorts are in the unincorporated census-designated place of Paradise, south of Las Vegas proper. All the Las Vegas sports franchises play in Paradise. Harry Reid International, the nation's 7th busiest airport, is in Paradise. All these massive employers and tourist destinations are basically in a straight line. And the transit? I don't know if I'd even count the monorail, which is expensive and inconveniently located, and only goes as far north as Sahara Avenue. I'd like to say there's a bus rapid transit line running down the strip, but the Deuce, even though it carries a lot of passengers, operates almost exclusively in mixed traffic and is anything but rapid. And number 1, with over 60,000 excess commute trips outbound to the suburb, it's Los Angeles to Burbank. So this is like Culver City squared. The city's number 1 employer is Warner Brothers Studios, which I think has New York street scenes with fake elevated trains, so it's sort of urban. Second largest employer is Walt Disney Studios. No street scenes, just cool looking water towers. There are lots of smaller studios here too, and there's an airport with all the jobs that tend to come with airports. Transit? I'm sorry you asked. The LA Metro Red Line subway serves Universal Studios to the west of Burbank, but not Warner's or Disney. And the Metrolink Ventura County and Antelope Valley regional rail lines do serve Burbank, but they run like every hour or two at peak. Why is LA so car dependent? It's just an incredible mystery that we'll probably never get to the bottom of. This always goes back to a pretty central thing, which is that cities can exist without suburbs, but suburbs, just by definition, can't really exist without cities. Like, if you watch Dave Amos's City Beautiful channel, and who among us doesn't, you can't imagine him making a series called Great Suburbs, but the Great Cities series, which definitely does exist, is great. And if you're into transit-oriented video, the installment on Shanghai is fantastic. Shanghai is home to the world's highest ridership metro system, and amazingly, the first line on that system opened in 1993, basically 30 years ago. Just for comparison, that's about how long it takes to plan, design, and construct a 2-mile subway extension here in the US. China is different though, and the video goes into both the technical challenges and the political history of how the Chinese government came to believe this kind of infrastructure investment was inseparable from its economic ambitions. Ironically, construction of the Shanghai Metro was jump-started by loans from European powers and the US. That's right, the United States saw the development of metro systems in other countries as a winning investment, and certainly China saw it that way since it was in line with their objectives of generating dense development and economic growth, as well as reducing car trips. How Shanghai built the world's largest metro system from City Beautiful's Great Cities series is a Nebula original and exclusive to the platform, and it's a great example of how Nebula's technical capacity and production know-how supports creators in tackling ambitious ideas and bring the final product to a higher level of finish. Being part of the Nebula community of creators has been absolutely indispensable for me when it comes to improving everything I do. It's a platform that keeps getting better every month, and I'm really proud to be part of it. Nebula, after all, is a streaming service that's owned by us, the creators, so when you sign up, you're helping us grow a platform that, by its very nature, supports all of us in a long-term structural way, financially, professionally, and creatively. So if you want to support this channel's ability to continue to improve and to continue to grow and reach new audiences, signing up for Nebula is a great way to do that. And this year, my videos are going up a week early on Nebula, so if you want to move your viewing schedule up and avoid spoilers, a Nebula membership is a pretty cost-effective way to do that. Because if you use my custom link down in the description, it really is an amazing deal. You get all the Nebula content for just $250 a month, which is 40% off the usual price, and the lifetime offer is still available. $300, you pay once, and you get Nebula for as long as both you and Nebula exist. No matter which way you go, though, it's a fantastic way to demonstrate your support for a creator-owned platform and fund an ever-growing slate of cool Nebula originals. And for all of you who are already Nebula members, just a massive thanks from me. Although, you should probably be watching this video on Nebula where it appears ad-free and without this promo section in it. Just putting that out there. And that's all I've got. Thanks for joining today, and thanks as always to the patrons for keeping the channel running smoothly. The direct support really does keep things solvent in a way that you'll probably never fully appreciate. Keep the great topic suggestions coming. I've got a whole bunch of travel coming up in early to mid-April, so no video next week, but I'll be back in a couple weeks with a new one, and I will see you then.